Every day for 6 weeks, Victoria endured mockery from male trainers who said she had zero power and didn't belong around real athletes. But when toxic smoke filled Powerhouse Elite and 6 people's lives hung in the balance, Victoria would carry them all to safety and show them what world's strongest woman really means. This story begins at Powerhouse Elite in downtown Dallas, Texas, a premium training facility that attracted competitive bodybuilders, powerlifters, and professional athletes who demanded the most advanced equipment and expert coaching for maximum performance results. Victoria Martinez had been working as a maintenance specialist at Powerhouse Elite for 6 weeks. Standing 5 feet 8 inches with a lean, muscular build that appeared modest compared to the massive physiques training around her, she handled equipment repairs and facility upkeep with quiet efficiency. But what Powerhouse Elite's training staff didn't know was that Victoria Martinez had dominated the strongwoman competition circuit for 8 years before retiring to pursue a normal life, away from the constant pressure of elite athletic performance. The gym's training team was led by head trainer Connor Williams, whose intimidating 320-pound physique and aggressive coaching methods commanded respect from members who equated size with expertise. Connor's training philosophy emphasized maximum intensity and viewed any employee who wasn't built like a competitive bodybuilder as inadequate for a serious facility. Connor viewed Victoria as completely unfit for Powerhouse Elite from her first day. Her maintenance duties required her to work around serious athletes, but her relatively modest build contradicted his belief that everyone in the facility should represent elite physical development. Martinez, Connor announced during the weekly staff briefing, his voice carrying across the gym where morning training sessions were beginning. I've been watching you work, and honestly, having someone with your build around elite athletes sends the wrong message about what this facility represents. Victoria looked up from the equipment maintenance log she was updating, maintaining her professional demeanor despite 6 weeks of constant criticism from training staff who questioned her presence. Which aspects of my work performance need improvement, Connor? The problem isn't your technical work, Connor replied with the dismissive tone he used when establishing authority in front of other trainers. The problem is that you have zero power. Members see you struggling with basic equipment moves, and it undermines Powerhouse Elite's image as a place where strength matters. This had been Connor's consistent theme since Victoria's arrival. Her equipment repairs required moving heavy machines, but she accomplished tasks efficiently rather than with the dramatic displays that impress people who confuse showmanship with competence. Connor, Victoria responded calmly, I complete all maintenance tasks on schedule and ensure equipment operates safely for member use. Isn't functionality more important than appearance? Connor laughed with theatrical mockery designed to humiliate her in front of colleagues and gym members who were within hearing range. Martinez, look around this facility. These are elite athletes who need to see that everyone here represents serious strength. Your zero-power approach makes us look unprofessional. The truth was that Victoria's maintenance work was exceptional, solving equipment problems that other facilities couldn't address, and keeping Powerhouse Elite's complex systems running at peak efficiency. But Connor's definition of employee value was limited to impressive physical displays rather than technical competence. You belong at some chain gym fixing treadmills for soccer moms, Connor continued, gesturing toward the powerlifters who were loading barbells with weights that impressed casual observers. Real facilities need employees who demonstrate real strength. Victoria had endured 6 weeks of this mockery while maintaining her professionalism and continuing to keep the facility running smoothly through maintenance expertise that saved Powerhouse Elite thousands in repair costs. The breaking point came during Tuesday's peak training hours when the gym was filled with competitive athletes preparing for upcoming competitions. Connor was conducting a training session with heavyweight bodybuilder Mike Thompson when his need to publicly demonstrate Victoria's inadequacy led to a situation that would expose her true capabilities. Martinez, I want everyone to see why having weak employees hurts our reputation, Connor called out while preparing to move a 400-pound cable machine that needed repositioning. Watch how someone with real power handles heavy equipment. Victoria observed Connor's approach with professional assessment, noting that his technique relied on brute force rather than proper mechanical advantage. But his weight and strength were adequate for the task. The chemical treatment system that maintained air quality had been malfunctioning for weeks due to improper installation. The system was allowing industrial cleaning chemicals to accumulate in dangerous concentrations. Connor completed his equipment move successfully, celebrating with dramatic display designed to emphasize the contrast between his strength and Victoria's perceived weakness. "That's how you handle serious weight," Connor announced loudly enough for the entire gym to hear. "Not like Martinez, who has zero power." At exactly 2:15 p.m., the compromised ventilation system finally released concentrated chemical fumes throughout Powerhouse Elite's main training areas. Within seconds, toxic smoke began pouring from air vents as industrial cleaning chemicals that had been building up in the system created a deadly atmospheric condition. The fumes were invisible but immediately dangerous, causing respiratory distress and unconsciousness in anyone who inhaled significant concentrations. 6 people collapsed almost simultaneously. Mike Thompson, the 290-pound bodybuilder Connor had been training, went down near the cable machines. Sarah Chen, a 140-pound competitive powerlifter, collapsed by the squat racks. Tony Rodriguez, a 210-pound mixed martial arts fighter, succumbed to the fumes near the cardio area. Jessica Walsh, a 160-pound CrossFit competitor, dropped unconscious by the Olympic lifting platform. Connor himself, despite his massive size, was overcome by the toxic concentration and fell near the center of the gym. Danny Patterson, a 185-pound personal trainer, collapsed while trying to help evacuate other members. The facility's emergency ventilation system activated automatically, but the chemical concentration was already life-threatening for the unconscious victims who were inhaling concentrated toxins with every breath. Victoria looked at the situation with tactical assessment skills from years of competition. 6 unconscious people, total weight approximately 1,200 pounds, scattered across a gym floor filling with toxic fumes. Emergency services were en route, but the victims would suffer permanent damage if they weren't removed from the contaminated environment immediately. Victoria made a decision that would reveal everything she had hidden for 6 weeks. She moved to Mike Thompson first. Victoria lifted him into a perfect fireman's carry and moved toward the exit with controlled, powerful steps, showing no strain, despite carrying nearly 300 pounds through toxic environment. She delivered him to paramedics outside, then returned for Sarah Chen, Tony Rodriguez, Jessica Walsh, Connor, and finally Danny Patterson. Each rescue was accomplished with systematic efficiency, despite the increasingly dangerous chemical exposure. Total rescue time, 8 minutes, 43 seconds. 6 lives saved through strength that defied conventional understanding. Connor regained consciousness as paramedics administered oxygen, his first coherent sight being Victoria, calmly reporting to the fire chief about the chemical leak and the status of all rescued victims. "Martinez," Connor said weakly when he could speak clearly, "how did you just carry 1,200 pounds of people through toxic smoke?" Victoria looked at the man who had spent 6 weeks mocking her strength and questioning her place at Powerhouse Elite. "Connor, what's the women's world record for deadlift in strong woman competition?" Connor struggled to answer while paramedics checked his respiratory function. "I don't know. Maybe 500 pounds?" 661 pounds, Victoria corrected. "I held that record for 3 years." The revelation hit Connor like a physical blow. "You're saying you're a world record holder?" Connor asked, his voice showing the kind of respect he'd never displayed before. Victoria nodded calmly. "5-time world's strongest woman champion, former world record holder in deadlift, Atlas stones and farmer's walk. I retired 3 years ago after winning everything there was to win in strong woman competition." Connor stared at the woman who had just saved his life, along with 5 others, while he'd been unconscious and helpless. "Why didn't you tell us? Why let us mock you for 6 weeks?" Victoria's response carried the weight of someone who had proven her point through life-saving action rather than words. "Because I wanted to see if Powerhouse Elite valued real strength or just impressive appearances. I wanted to know if you could recognize capability without needing to be intimidated by credentials." Connor absorbed this lesson while watching paramedics work on the 6 people Victoria had rescued. All 6 would make complete recoveries because of her incredible strength and quick action. "Victoria," he said quietly, "I owe you an apology that goes beyond what words can express, and all of us owe you our lives." Victoria accepted his acknowledgement with the grace of someone who understood that respect earned through crisis carried more weight than recognition given through politics. 6 months later, Powerhouse Elite had undergone a complete transformation under Victoria's leadership as the new facility manager. Her evidence-based approach to equipment maintenance and staff development attracted serious athletes from across Texas, while her leadership philosophy created a culture of mutual respect rather than appearance-based judgments. Connor became one of Victoria's most dedicated supporters after recovering from the chemical exposure, learning that real strength wasn't about impressive physiques, but about having the capability to help others when help was needed most. They installed a memorial plaque near the entrance. True power serves others when they need it most. Victoria often reflected on that day when 6 weeks of quiet competence was validated through 8 life-saving rescues. She had endured constant mockery about her modest appearance, but when the moment came that required everything she had trained for, her capabilities spoke louder than any physique or demonstration could. Sometimes the most powerful people are the ones who prove their worth not through impressive displays, but through the strength to help others when strength truly matters. And sometimes the people who mock your appearance are the ones whose lives depend on your hidden capabilities. Thanks for watching Hidden Valor. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to remember that real power isn't about looking strong, but about having the strength to lift others up when they need you most. Let's keep celebrating the champions who prove their worth through service, not showmanship.